Well, guys, once again, good evening. Welcome to our session. We officially started working on our new unit, which is Unit 6. Well, of course, talking about that. Yesterday, we finished Unit 5. Then on the second part of the session, we started working on Unit 6. Of course, we continue with Unit 6. And the idea of tonight is talking about the second grammatical component. When you guys started yesterday, the first grammatical component, the first part was talking about past perfect. And now, tonight, we're going to include a second component, which is related to reported speech. Probably some of you already remember what reported speech is. Of course, as usual, we will review all these different grammatical, let's say, changes that it has. We're going to practice, of course. And the good thing, I think, about reported speech is that it is like a good possibility to practice all the grammatical tenses that English has. And this is like a good type of exercise, once again, aiming at improving the level that we had compared to what we did on the first exam. Okay, I just wanted to ask you that. Before I take attendance, guys, I wanted to ask you about the virtual campus. I was waiting for the bus to pass. Guys, did any of you started the activities in the virtual campus?
Profe, yo todavía no he empezado, pero planeo mañana revisar.
Okay, Jorge, good. Yeah, guys, remember that the idea is not to wait until the end. I know that you are really busy, and of course, there are many things to do. Plus, I think that some of you hopefully have the opportunity to go on vacations and enjoy next week in the way that you want to enjoy it, of course. But I know that it's a repetitive thing for me, but I have to remind you those activities in the virtual campus. Well, I think that I can take attendance for the moment. And we can start working on the second part of our Unit 6. Today is the 29th. Entonces, sorry, there is someone waiting. There you go. Karen Victoria Acevedo.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Steven Santiago Fonseca.
Here, teacher.
Okay. Sergio David Gómez. Not here yet. Kiara Lisette Martínez.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Jorge Jair Moreno.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Natalia Navarro.
Present.
Okay. Diego Fernando Olarte.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Manuela Ortiz.
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Joan Sebastián Pavón. Okay, for the moment. Beatriz Pedraza.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Hamilton Peña.
Present, Miss.
Okay. Xiomara Rincón.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Jessica Paola Ríos.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Catherine Alexandra Rodríguez.
Present, miss.
Okay. Marlon Yesid Sánchez.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Mendy Fabián Santa.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Manuel Alberto Sepúlveda.
Present, teacher.
Okay. María Alejandra Vega.
Present, teacher.
Okay. And Vanessa Zambrano.
Present, teacher.
Okay. So for the moment, the ones that are absent are Sebastián and Sergio David. Well, anyway, they still have a couple of minutes before it counts as absence. We already know. I think that we can start right now. Okay, very good, guys. I was telling you a few minutes ago that, well, not telling you, like reminding you that we started our Unit 6 yesterday on the second part of the session. I say we, although you were working with Professor Laura Juliana, but it's basically what we were doing yesterday. Of course, we're going to continue with the next part. Give me a second. And once again, let's say that the key component or the start, let's put it like that, of this section in particular is reported speech, which is the grammatical tense, which is an element that we're going to review tonight. This information that we have in here is from the book, and it says true coincidences. Here we have some people talking about coincidences, not necessarily that happen in their lives, but coincidences that they have seen or they have read as well. And this, in here, is the instruction that you have on the book. I'm going to read it for you. It says, read the beginnings with the coincidence stories above. How do you think each story ends? Of course, we're going to read the stories. And the idea, guys, is that you're going to make a prediction. For the moment, that's all that we're going to do. We're going to predict how we think the story ends. Of course, because it is like the beginning of the activity, it would be a very general idea of an ending. You don't have to create like in 5 seconds, like a very detailed description of a story. Don't worry. We'll read the beginning. And as I was telling you, let's see, probably we can guess how the story actually finishes. Let's start with the first story from Josh Lewis. Beatriz, no, Beatriz, you are driving, I guess. No, I want to ask a different person. Catherine Rodriguez. Would you read the first paragraph, please?
Okay, Miss. True coincidence. A few years ago, I had an argument with my girlfriend. She said that I was upset by work. As I was driving home, I turned on the radio and the first thing I heard were the ladies. She said it wasn't working. She told me she was leaving. John Lewis, Vancouver, Canada.
Thank you, Catherine. Josh Lewis. Okay, so that's what happened to Josh. The story, like a kind of, let's say, problem with his girlfriend. By reading this very short story, what could be the end of that story? Diego, we're just making predictions. What do you think happened next?
Maybe they broke their relationship.
Okay, maybe. Yeah, exactly. We don't know. That is a good prediction. Maybe they broke up. You agree or disagree, Hamilton? Do you think that it's the possible ending of that story? Or you have a different idea?
Teacher, I agree.
Okay, we'll see if Diego actually guessed properly. Let's see the chat. There you are. Yeah, I have to make the adjustment in the attendance, Sergio, but I already wrote your name here. So in a few minutes, I can actually put that you are here. I hope that Nancy doesn't call you in the meantime. Let's have a look at the second coincidence. I would like to ask Manuel to read it, please.
My favorite coincidence story is about Mark Twain, the American author. He was born in 1835, 2 weeks after Halley's Comet appeared. In his autobiography, Twain said that he had come in with the comet and he expected to go out with it. Halley's Comet comes back every 76 years.
Biography. Very good. Thank you, Manuel. Let's see, what could be the possible ending of this story, Santiago? What prediction could we make of how it ends?
Teacher, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention, sorry.
Santiago, how come? Okay, that happens. Let me ask then, Marlon, what do you think? How that prediction could end? Once again, we are just guessing. We don't know yet, but the idea is to imagine what the ending of each story could be. So Marlon.
Teacher, sorry, hasta ahora estoy llegando a la casa. No estoy viendo la pantalla.
Ay, my people. Okay, any volunteer to share your prediction?
Teacher, for the last,
The second from Maria Lopez, the one that Manuel was reading.
no, teacher.
No, we are going just one by one. Somebody has to have a prediction about that one. Jorge, what do you think?
I don't know, teacher.
It is not that clear what it says. Mhm.
Teacher, I know. I think the person is dead the same day when the Haileys cornered appeared.
Appeared.
Appear. He
Oh,
born and he dead in the same time.
he was born and he died at the same time. Okay, that is a good prediction, Hamilton. And of course, taking into account that it says coincidences, that would be a really good one. Thank you very much, Hamilton. You paid attention to what the text was about. Let's have a look at the third prediction. The name of the person is quite interesting. Of course, it is Chinese. It is Wei Shang from Beijing, China. Vanessa, could you read it, please? Yes.
Yes, teacher. A few months ago, I was thinking about an old friend from university. His name was Jun Xiu. He always said that we would get married one day. The next day, I checked my email as usual. To my amazement, there was an email from Jun Xiu. He asked me if I was still living in Beijing, and he told me what he was doing. We saw Beijing, China.
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 China. Okay, thank you very much. That's the story. Notice how it started. Tan, tan, tan. Yes, Karen. Hi, Karen, I can't hear you well. I mean, the volume is really low. Sorry.
Teacher, ¿ya me escucha?
Better. Yes, Karen, thank you.
Oh, okay. What is the meaning of amazement?
It's similar to surprise. It would be like a synonym.
Okay, teacher.
And in a positive way. Because, well, it is related to the adjective amazing, right? That it is a kind of synonym of wonderful. So it is like a very positive surprise. That would be the idea of amazement. Maria, what do you think could be the ending of this story?
They get married.
They get married, okay, could be. Well, let's have a look at the final story. In this case, I would like to ask Manuela to read it, please.
Okay, teacher. My friend and I from Thomas Abney Secondary School in South London did a gap year together when we were 18. We went to Australia and found a job in a small insurance office in Melbourne. It was really boring, but quite well paid. One day, the manager said he was hiring another worker to help us. Liam Bedley, London, UK.
Very good. Thank you very much. So that's the story from Liam from the UK. Manuela, what could be a prediction for the ending of this story?
Let me think, teacher. No, teacher, I don't know.
No idea what could be?
No.
Okay, don't worry. Let's see if someone can help us. Sergio, what do you think could be an ending for this story? We are just predicting, we don't know. Just like we have the beginning, some events. How could it end? Sergio? Well, he's here in spirit, I guess. Catherine, yes, you raise your hand first. Tell us.
Yes, maybe someone was looking for a job. No?
Maybe. Well, it finishes saying that the manager is hiring another worker and maybe someone was looking for a job. That could be a possible prediction. And Manuel, you also raise your hand. What do you think? Manuel?
Teacher, about the last one, I think he was going, or he was planning his wedding.
Yeah,
Is it-
about the last one, that he was planning his wedding?
Yes, his friend.
Okay, well, we're just guessing, of course. Kiara, what about you?
Teacher, the new coworker was his old friend.
Okay, the new coworker was his old friend. We'll see. And Jorge said one of them was fired for hiring a new worker, maybe. Okay, that would be an interesting ending as well. Very good. Well, guys, we are going to go to our book now. Let me share the screen. And we already did the first part. We read, we made predictions. Now we're going to listen, okay? Let's see if our predictions were actually yours because I didn't predict, it was all from you. Let's see if you guessed correctly how similar your ideas were to the ones that will be presented in the recording. That is what we're going to do. We're gonna listen twice, okay? Also, while we listen, I want you to think for the moment, which of the coincidences did you find the strangest? And which would be least strange, okay? Just after, of course, we listen to the stories. So let's say that those two things. First of all, to decide, not to decide, to recognize how similar or different the endings you guys predicted were. And also, the second part would be like your own decision, which would be the strangest and would be the least strange, okay? Guys, do you have any questions about the instructions? Questions?
No, teacher.
Thank you very much. We're gonna listen twice.
Unit 6, Recording 3.
A few years ago, I had an argument with my girlfriend. She said that I was obsessed by work. As I was driving home, I turned on the radio, and the first thing I heard were the lyrics. She said it wasn't working. She told me she was leaving. When I got home, there was a voicemail from my girlfriend. She said that she didn't want to see me anymore. And that was the last I heard from her.
My favorite coincidence story is about Mark Twain, the American author. He was born in 1835, 2 weeks after Halley's Comet appeared. In his autobiography, Twain said that he had come in with the comet and he expected to go out with it. Halley's Comet comes back every 76 years. Sure enough, Twain died in 1910, the day after the comet reappeared.
A few months ago, I was thinking about an old friend from university. His name was Chung-Soo. He always said that we would get married one day. The next day, I checked my email as usual. To my amazement, there was an email from Chung-Soo. He asked me if I was still living in Beijing, and he told me what he was doing. He said he'd just had a dream about me and had found my email address online. We've met up a couple of times since then. Who knows? Perhaps he was right after all.
My friend and I from Thomas Abney Secondary School in South London did a gap year together when we were 18. We went to Australia and found a job in a small insurance office in Melbourne. It was really boring work, but quite well paid. One day, the manager said he was hiring another worker to help us. The next day, a guy of about 20 walked into the office. He looked familiar. We asked him where he was from, and he told us he was from South London. Then we asked him which school he'd gone to, and he said Thomas Abney. We were so surprised. He'd been in the class 2 years above us.
Okay, we're going to listen the second time. Well, I didn't tell you, but I am going to tell you now. In case, guys, that you consider that you need to listen a third time, let me know. Okay, that is up to you. Let's listen the second time.
Unit 6, Recording 3.
A few years ago, I had an argument with my girlfriend. She said that I was obsessed by work. As I was driving home, I turned on the radio, and the first thing I heard were the lyrics. She said it wasn't working. She told me she was leaving. When I got home, there was a voicemail from my girlfriend. She said that she didn't want to see me anymore, and that was the last I heard from her.
My favorite coincidence story is about Mark Twain, the American author. He was born in 1835, 2 weeks after Halley's Comet appeared. In his autobiography, Twain said that he had come in with the comet and he expected to go out with it. Halley's Comet comes back every 76 years. Sure enough, Twain died in 1910, the day after the comet reappeared.
A few months ago, I was thinking about an old friend from university. His name was Chang-Su. He always said that we would get married one day. The next day, I checked my email as usual. To my amazement, there was an email from Chang-Su. He asked me if I was still living in Beijing, and he told me what he was doing. He said he'd just had a dream about me and had found my email address online. We've met up a couple of times since then. Who knows? Perhaps he was right after all.
My friend and I from Thomas Abney Secondary School in South London did a gap year together when we were 18. We went to Australia and found a job in a small insurance office in Melbourne. It was really boring work, but quite well paid. One day, the manager said he was hiring another worker to help us. The next day, a guy of about 20 walked into the office. He looked familiar. We asked him where he was from, and he told us he was from South London. Then we asked him which school he'd gone to, and he said Thomas Abney. We were so surprised. He'd been in the class 2 years above us.
Okay, guys, we already listened twice. Do you think you consider you need a third time? Or is it okay?
It's okay, Miss.
Okay. And it looks like your classmates agree. Let's see. Remember, guys, that the idea was to, let's say, discover, now have like the real information on how each of the coincidences ended. First of all, I would like to know if there is any volunteer who would like to share the information about the first coincidence. Remember that the first coincidence, let me share the screen so I don't have to go back and forth in the page, was from Josh, right? So any volunteer, or maybe I have to choose? Let's see, we have volunteers. Okay, so I have to choose. So Catherine, Catherine, almost. How does the first story end?
The first story ends, I don't want to see you anymore.
Who said that, Josh or his girlfriend?
Her girlfriend. His girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So that means that they broke up. Okay. That was the ending for the first story. They did break up. Let's have a look at the second prediction from Maria Lopez. It wasn't about her, of course. Someone raised the hand, but I couldn't see. Okay. Then in that case, I would like to ask Natalia. What does she say? Natalia?
Yes.
What about the second coincidence?
Teacher, I have some problem with my network and I heard the recording code.
Well, okay, yeah, okay. I see. Let's see if Santiago can help us with the second. There is someone raising the hand. Vanessa, yes?
Teacher, the day after the comet reappeared, Mark Twain died.
Very good. The comet reappeared. Exactly. That was the answer, Vanessa. Very good. The day after the comet reappeared, he died. That's how it worked in terms of the coincidence. Let's look at the third one. How it ends. Jessica. Well, there is a volunteer. Diego is going to help Jessica. So, tell us, Diego.
When she was thinking in his friend Jin Su, this day he was sleeping, dreaming with her, and after that he will write a new email for she.
He wrote her an email. Very good. And yes, what Diego said was part of the story, that he was dreaming of her, basically. Well, actually, he had a dream with her, more like on that sense. And what about the final story? How does that prediction end? Two guys were working in Australia from the same school. Maria, what do you think?
In the new person was his friend.
The new person was their friend? No, not really. They weren't really friends. There is something that the three of them had in common. Jorge. What can we say about that one?
I don't know, teacher. I can't hear.
You couldn't hear? Okay, Santiago.
The new hired guide was an old classmate of them.
Okay, that was the idea. The guy was a little bit older, like 2 years above them in school, but they all three went to the same high school. Okay, very good. That was the idea of this first part. First, reading the stories, sharing possible endings. Give me a second, please. Sorry about that. And then listening to the predictions. Well, not to the predictions, so the real endings. Guys, remember that we also had 2 questions, but in this case, it's going to be more like a survey. Okay. I'm going to send you the link to the chat. From what we read, and of course, after listening to how the story ended, I would like you to tell us which coincidence you find the strangest. Remember, guys, that we have the information on our book on the stories. If you want to like read them again a little bit, but for the moment, it is just like a very general prediction. I'm gonna give you like 30 seconds, guys, for you to decide. I really hope that all of you managed to send your answer. Remember, for the moment, which coincidence do you find strangest? "13 answers out of 19. Where are the other 6? Are you still driving, maybe? Well, some of you consider that the one that is actually considered strangest would be from Maria Lopez, talking about Mark Twain. If you remember, well, I know that you do, talking about the date of birth and death of him. Okay? And guys, which coincidence is least strange? Once again, we still have the 4 names talking about the whole opposite situation. 30 seconds, and we see how similar or different your answers are. "12 answers. What are the other ones?" Well, for the moment, guys, you consider that the least strange would be the first story, where they said that they broke up. Okay. Well, we have already analyzed the stories a lot, we can say, all the different, let's say, steps that we went through. What you're going to do, guys, once again, just like to continue with the idea of these stories. Here we have 5 different statements. Number 1 is already done. What you have to do, guys, is to say which of the 4 people said those ideas. For example, it says we'll get married one day. This was from the prediction made by Jiang Xu. Let's read number 2 and number 3. Beatriz, could you read them, please?
Yes, teacher. We'll get married one day. I don't want to see you anymore. I came in with the comment and I expect to go out with it. I'm hearing the comment. I'm hearing another worker to help you. I've just had a dream about you.
I'm hiding. Very good. Okay, Beatriz, thank you very much. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to look at these statements. Remember, they were from the coincidences that we have just read. The idea is that you have to, let's say, write down or decide which of the 4 people actually said these things. We already have number 1, which was the example. So you only have to write the names. That's all. Guys, questions about the instructions? Yes. Questions?
No
Thank
questions.
you very much. Great. 3 minutes for you, starting now. Don't forget to look at the coincidences to find out the names, and then we check. Okay. Let's see who said what. Let's have a look at, let me see the chat first. Okay. Okay. What about answers from number 2 and number 3, Kiara?
And Josh Lewis and Maria Lopez.
I mean, it was the second one. It's from the first story, right? But Did Josh actually say this? Is the guy who said that?
No, his girlfriend.
His girlfriend. Yes, that was the idea. Very good. Diego says,
And the Maria Lopez is Mark Twain.
Very good. Yeah, I know like what you did, like which story it came from, right? But the idea was like exactly which person. But of course you knew. Very good. And what about 4 and 5, Sebastian? Sebastian? No sé ni si era en spirit. Ah, Natalia, que también ahorita no la escuché. What about 4 and 5?
And 4, Liam's manager.
Very
And
good.
5, Hugh's son.
Which one? Ah, well, the guy, Jiang Shu, right? You meant this name. The name in Chinese is a little bit tricky, right, Natalia? That's the thing, I know. Okay, guys, very good. Guys, for the next exercise, it says that it is on the book, but I'm gonna send you also the script. This is what I'm doing in this moment. And as I was telling you at the beginning of the session, in terms of the grammatical components, we're talking about reported speech. The idea is that you're going to find, I send it only to Jorge. There is someone in the wait room. I have to do it again. Sorry for the silence, there it is. Guys, as I was telling you, the idea of the grammatical component of tonight is talking about reported speech. So what you're going to do is to find these sentences in here from part 2A in the reported form in the script that I just sent to the chat, okay? If you can't download it, go to your book on page 121. 71. Oh my God, that's where the script is. Or if for you it's easier to download the file that I sent, okay, that would be better. Whichever, let's say, decision is easier for you. As I was telling you guys, the idea is to find the reported sentences that we already, let's say, discovered or we already analyzed on the previous exercise. I think that I'm gonna do something as well. Yes.
Teacher.
I'm gonna, yes?
Sorry, could you repeat the page on the page number, please?
Yes, on the book, it is on page 171. Anyway, I'm gonna display the welcome, the script as well. Look, the example that we had, the original sentence was, we'll get married one day. This sentence in reported speech would say, he always said that we would get married one day. So that is the idea, to find the reported version of these sentences. We already have number 1. So you have to look for 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Guys, could you download the script from the chat?
Yes, teacher.
No, teacher. By the way, I lost my Wi-Fi for a moment. Could you send it again, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yes, well done. Yes. There you go. Anyway, I'm also going to display it. We already had the 4 sentences. Here you have it, in case that it is easier for you. I hope that it is. Guys, because, well, that means that you have to read all the information that the 4 people shared. I'm gonna give you 7 minutes. It looks like it is a lot of time, but as I was telling you, it's like you have to read all the information to find the sentences. You decide if you highlight them, if you do like any type of mark for you to recognize them, that would be great. So 7 minutes to discover the sentences, but in this case, in reported speech. I'm gonna display the script in here. 7 minutes starting now. Oh, well, any questions, guys? Seven minutes starting. Okay, let's see the reporting speech sentences. Let me go back to the book. There you go. We already had the example. We already noticed, let's say, like the transformation that the sentence had. In the second one, we had, I don't want to see you anymore. What is the reported sentence of that statement? Xiomara.
This is
What about the second sentence? Yes. Mhm.
the second paragraph.
The second sentence.
Uh,
How is that sentence in the reported version of the script?
Just teacher.
Sorry?
She said, sorry, she didn't want to see me anymore.
Okay, that would be it. Very good. That is the second statement. Anyway, we will see the answer key in a moment. Mandy, what about number 3? Mandy?
Teacher, the first person.
The first sentence was actually from the second person, from Maria.
Yes, teacher.
So, what will be the corresponding, let's say, version using reported speech for that one? The original was, I came in with the comment and I expect to go out with it.
Teacher, let me see again. I am in my phone.
Do you need to see the script again?
Yes, teacher. Yes, teacher. The first person is George. He's
No, Mandy, that's not my question. Well, probably because you're working, you are thinking of a different activity. But no, this statement is from the second paragraph. Let me ask another person and you see what the idea of this was. Manuel.
Yes, teacher. So it's the third one, right?
The third sentence.
So he said he had come with the comment. He had come in with the comment, and he expected to go out with it.
That would be it. That's the reported version of this statement. Very good, Manuel. That was the one. Let's have a look at number 4, Hamilton. We had them hiring another worker to help you. What is the reported version of that statement? Hamilton?
Yes, teacher.
So, what do you have?
Teacher, I can listen the last question. Sorry.
I'm asking about the statement number 4.
Number 4. I'm hearing another worker to help you. I think it's just
Is it from Josh's? No, it's not from Josh, it's from Liam. But what is the report? First of all, it's from Liam. That's the first question. And well, let's ask, well, Santiago is gonna help us. What will be the reported version of this statement, Santiago?
The reporter version was he was hiring another worker to help us.
Could you repeat?
Sorry, teacher. He was hiring another worker to help us.
That would be it. Thank you very much, Santiago. Great. And well, let's finish with number 5. It says, I've just had a dream about you. Of course, this is from the Chinese woman. What is the reported version, Karen Victoria?
Teacher, maybe Yang Xian said he has just had a dream with Houston.
Just had a dream. How did you finish the sentence?
With the name of the girl, with Houston.
Okay, yeah, actually that works. Let me share the answer key with you. Catherine, you raise your hand. Yes.
The last one is, he said he just had a dream about me and had found my email address online.
Well, until about me works perfectly fine. Thank you, Catherine. Very good, guys. Well, I know that it was a little bit tricky, but that was the intention, to find the statements. As I was telling you, here we have the answer key, just to make sure that we are on, like, all on the same line. This is the first example. This was the second. Let's have a look at the next one. Well, actually, this was number 3. Well, actually, it is not from this part. The manager, we don't really need one day, only from his set. Okay, very good. Well, guys, let's refresh our memory about reported speech. As I was telling you at the beginning of the session, it's the grammatical component of the night. The good thing, I dare to say, is that it is not that new for you, because at the end of the day, what we do is to combine all the tenses that we have in English. That is basically the intention. So basically, when we're talking about reported speech, it's because we're telling things that other person said. That is basically the idea. It is not like I'm talking about my opinion or my point of view. I'm talking about information that other person shared. In technical names, let's put it like that, we can say that we have direct speech. Let's say that direct speech is like we normally talk. That would be it. And indirect speech, as we are going to have a look, would be talking about ideas or information that another person shared. What is the main component, or like the key thing that the reported speech has? Now we do a back shift, okay? Like somehow we take a step back from the original tense that the person used. So that means that when I somehow repeat that information, I'm going to use a different tense, but using it to the past. That is going to be like the movement. Let's put it like that. That is in terms of the grammatical tense. Of course, it is not the only thing that changes. We can also change, or we actually have to change also things like pronouns. Let's have a look at some examples and at some changes. First of all the present tenses go to past. So present simple goes to past simple, present continuous go to past continuous, present perfect goes to past perfect. So all present tenses change into past tenses, depending on the one that we are talking about. And of course, we have to be very careful with that transformation. Look at the, let's say, original sentence. It says, I travel a lot in my job. If we analyze the sentence, we notice that it's in present, right? Let me turn this off for a moment. In here, we have the verb travel that is in present. And it wasn't me, the person saying that information. I'm going to report it. I would say Jamila said She traveled a lot in her job. So I had to make two transformations. First, the tense. Remember that we take a step back from present to past. And second, the pronoun, because I am not talking about my job. In this case, I'm talking about the job of another person. The second sentence says the baby's sleeping. Guys, which is this grammatical tense? The baby's sleeping. Which one is that one?
Present continuous.
Present
It is
continuous.
present continuous, right?
Or
So that means
progressive.
that, or progressive. Yeah, well, let's keep it like they are synonyms. Then what we have to do is to change it into past continuous. Once again, it is not my idea. It's the idea from another person. He told me the baby was sleeping. What I changed is only the verb to be, in parentheses. Remember, guys, that with any progressive tense, I always have to use two things. Verb to be and the main verb in the progressive form. The verb to be is the one in charge of telling me the tense. So it may be like an obvious thing, but when we see is or am, it's because it's present. When we see was, were, it because it's past in this case, and we're going to stop it like that. And the next says, I've hurt my leg. Which tense is this one? I've hurt my leg.
Present perfect.
Would be present perfect. So if it is in present perfect, I change it into past perfect, which was the one that we started deciding yesterday. She said she'd hurt her leg. Once again, two transformations. The tense into the past, and of course the pronoun, because it is not my leg. It's the leg of another person. So for the moment, we have talked about three different tenses, but the general idea is the same. From present to past, making the proper transformation also of the pronouns. That would be it. Of course, there are more tenses, but I want to take a step in here to ask you if in the moment you have any questions. Questions for the moment? Okay. What happens with past simple and past continuous? In this case, we continue moving backwards. Let's put it like that, because then past perfect is going to be in charge of these tenses. You may be thinking, but from present perfect, it goes to past perfect. So we have to repeat it? Yes. Because after past, or actually before past, we don't have any other grammatical combinations. So past perfect is going to be in charge, when we report things in present perfect, past simple, and past continuous. Why? Just because. Well, not necessarily just because. It's because, as I was telling you, well, we have present to past, then past perfect. And as you know, past perfect is the past of the past. And then before past perfect, we don't have more tenses. That is it. We don't have more. So past perfect actually has, let's say, three responsibilities: present perfect, past simple, and past continuous. Look at the first statement that we have in here. It says, we lived in China for 5 years. Now we make the transformation. Now notice that we have the past perfect using the contraction, but past perfect. She told me they lived in China for 5 years. Let me extend the line a little bit, because notice that in both sentences, we have to be careful with the pronouns. The original was we, but in the reported, once again, I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about other people. So that is why in the reported, I say they. I am not included in that idea. It was raining all day. This is past continuous or past progressive. Once again, we already know was or were, depending if it is plural or singular. Then to make the transformation, he told me it had been raining all day. This is past perfect continuous. So it is from the family of past perfect, of course, but also past perfect has the continuous form, which is this one. We will study past perfect continuous later in the cycle, but for the moment we can have a look at it, of course. And notice what I was telling you some seconds ago, that it has the verb to be, because all the progressive times they have to have, it is an obligation to contain the verb to be, and of course the verb with ing, that it is telling us the idea of progression. And you may be thinking, and what happens when the statement is in past perfect? Is there any change for past perfect? No. Past perfect, among some exceptions, of course, is the only tense that doesn't have any transformation in reported speech. If we said, I've tried everything without success, but this new medicine is great, we don't change the grammatical part. We share the things and then we have to change, you know, talking about the pronouns, because once again, I am not sharing my idea. I'm somehow repeating or reporting the idea of another person. So the grammar, the combination itself doesn't change. But of course, the part related to the pronoun, it is changed. Notice, he said he had tried everything without success. Both ideas are the same, the grammatical combination, but we change the pronoun. So to summarize it a little bit, guys, this will be like a really good chart to keep in mind. Of course, I will eventually upload this material to our folders. If you want to take a screenshot to have it faster, whatever you prefer. And these are the transformations that we make. Notice that all the present tenses go to past. Past perfect continues the line of past perfect. Some modals can change. If you remember, the first sentence that we analyzed from the story was using will, then the change would be to would, and can changes to could, okay? This would be like the most, let's say, important changes in terms of the grammatical tense. Keep in mind that we also change the pronouns. If I'm talking about feminine, masculine, or I don't know, third person, but in plural, so we can keep the alignment, you know, that it makes sense. And as I was telling you, this is not a complicated thing because what we're doing is to combine all the grammatical tenses that at this point you already know. You already know how they work, how they are created. So you just like to put them all together in this type of exercises. Okay. Guys, tell me questions. No questions?
No, teacher.
Okay, no hands raised so far.
No question.
Thank you, Santiago, as well.
Teacher,
Okay. Yes, Karen.
in the note that says, remember the difference between say and tell. What is?
Okay, I'm going to that one in a moment. And notice that when we are reporting, I'm going back to the sentences. The original sentence was, I travel a lot with my job. So Jamila said, or we can say he told me, those are probably two of the most common reporting verbs. There are more, right? But say and tell are the most common when we're talking about that. In English, there is, let's say, an important difference between both of them, like in which cases we use them. The general difference would be it. When we use sorry, the verb say is to talk about something. For example, he said he loved her. Notice that after say, we had a complete idea. In some cases, we can use tell, but after tell, we have to say who was like the person who received the information. For example, he told me he loved her. This would be the general difference. We may think, okay, so after tell, I have to include the person that receives the information. Like he told me, I told him, we told them, like first there is a kind of recipient. But in some cases, there are some collocations that we have to use only with say and only with tell. For example, I hope that we have time to do that part. But this is one of the things that we have to learn by heart because the combination is fixed. I can say I tell lies or I tell jokes. I can't say that I say lies or I say jokes. Why? Just because. Remember that in some cases, there are things that we have to learn because that's how they are fixed in the language. So the general difference would be this one. We say something until first we say the recipient. I always use that word, the recipient, and then the idea. But in some cases, there are combinations that we have to learn.
Miss say is third person and tell is first person?
No.
Maybe?
No, Catherine, sorry. We can use it with any let's say subject. That's the thing. Yeah, because we start to trying to find you know, a rule. Like you said, maybe there is for third person and this for first person. No, not really. We can use it with any person. Let's put it like that. So in some cases, it's easier to recognize, but in other cases, as I told you, we tell jokes. It is not to say jokes, because maybe you think, but in Spanish, uno dice yo digo chistes. Yeah, that's Spanish. You know, Spanish, in this case, it is not going to help us at all. So unfortunately, that's how it works. Let me see the chat. Maybe because lies and jokes are told to somebody. Okay. Well, I was using only that example, you know, but would be a good way to start, you know, organizing the information, you know. If for you, for example, Manuel, you consider that you remember that easily, like putting that label, like, okay, because the idea is to give that information to other people. That could be an easier way, like to fix that idea. Okay. Yeah, guys, notice that, well, in the examples that I presented in here was present, well, that was a general idea. Present to past, the tenses. In this part, we had past to past, then talking about past perfect. And don't forget that we also have the modals, right? I didn't include like a very direct example, but notice for example, from the book, it says, we'll get married one day. As you already noticed, this will, this contraction is we will, right? So what will be the reported version? He also said that we would get married one day. So notice that this will be the transformation using will. So in this case, we had will, and now in the reporting version, we have would. Okay, so that example is in here. And one example that technically is not here is talking about can and could, but it's precisely the same. Keep in mind that that's the step or the transformation that we have to make. Okay? Questions, guys? Okay. Well, as usual, let's practice. And you know, actually, this reported speech is very common for this type of exercise. Wait, sorry, because of the noise. Okay. As I was telling you, this is a very common exercise on the PET exam. In this part that we have to make the transformations. Probably I dare to say that this is the one that is used the most. The idea that we read the first statement and we complete the second, keep in mind like the general intention, so both ideas mean the same. In some cases, we have the original tense, well, we already said the technical name, direct speech, and what you have to do is to change it into reported speech. Or for example, the case of number 4, that we have the reported speech, so we have to change it into the original version, the direct speech. How do we recognize that part? Notice that the reported begins or have the verb say or tell. In this case, most of them are with say, but you know that both are fine. And the direct speech are like this, inside the quotations, because that is exactly what the people said. We already know that when we use quotations, it's because we just took, like copied and paste what another person said. While the reported have the verb say on also the verbs tell, that I saw it here, over here. Okay, this. So guys, make the transformation, but be careful. This is direct, change it into reported. This is reported, also number 5 is reported, change it into direct. Guys, any questions about the instruction? While I set the timer. Well, I'm gonna show you here this.
No question.
Thank you, Santiago. I'm gonna show you here this box in case that you need to take a screenshot. I think that you already did. but I'm gonna give you like 5 seconds to take the screenshot once again, so I can show you the exercise. Guys, you are going to have 7 minutes, okay? And then we're going to check the sentences. Direct to reported, reported to direct. 7 minutes starting now. Okay, guys, time's up. Let's see how you transform the sentences. As we said, in some cases was from direct to reported or from reported to direct. Let's have a look at the statement number 1. Kiara, the original sentence says, I was very busy.
And he had been very busy.
Very good. So simple to past perfect. Excellent. Statement number 2, Manuela says, I am working. How would be the reported version of statement number 2?
Teacher, you say Manuela or Manuel?
Manuela, sorry, yeah, it was like really fast. It's you, yes.
Okay. He said that he was working.
Absolutely, good. Let's have a look at number 3. Jessica, from direct to reported. I will help you.
He say he will help me.
That would be it, very good. Number 4, we had it in the reported version. Let's see. And the idea was to change it into the direct with the quotations and stuff. Marlon.
Here, Marlon?
Yes.
Number what?
Number 4.
Number 4, okay, number 4. I have never played chess before. Have.
With V.
Excuse me?
With V, Marlon, like the normal half. Let's put it like that. Jorge says had. Yeah, Jorge. Would you read it, please?
Yes, I had never played chess before.
Very good. And the original says, my sister says she had never played chess before. Why you didn't change the verb, Jorge?
My sister said me.
No. I mean, what you said was correct. The original had the verb had.
Because it's past perfect.
Absolutely. Because it is past perfect. Remember, guys, that with past perfect, we don't make any changes in the tense. We changed the pronouns. Well, in this case, the original said I, and then in the reported was my sister. That is why it doesn't change in that aspect. Manuel, yes.
But maybe we use have to because she said I have before.
Manuel, I didn't get your idea, like the sound cut off a little bit.
Saying using have in this case could be also right.
Okay, I get it. Well, actually, the idea is not that crazy. I agree with you. And then with Marlon. Yeah, because we don't have more context to know if it was past perfect only, or maybe the person is talking about her present life. Let's put it like that. Okay, no, so Marlon, you were right also from the beginning. I can now consider that both answers are correct. Good point, guys. Nice. I didn't notice that. I'm gonna be honest.
No entendí esa parte. La 4 me quedó bien.
Yes, but then we can also use past perfect in number 4, because remember that with past perfect, we don't make transformations on the verb. So in this case, because we don't have more context, your answer, have, is correct. And also the answer that Jorge said was correct.
Okay, both is correct.
Both are correct because then past perfect doesn't have any other way to go to other tense. So both are correct. I make the adjustment as well in the answer key. Good eye, Manuel. Thank you. Let's have a look at number 5. Karen Victoria. The original says, my coach told me I had to practice every day.
teacher, I write my coach. Uh, you have to practice every day.
Very good. Well, in this case, every day is a little bit more restrictive, right? I think that you also had the same idea, putting it into present. But also, I guess that we can also use the past. No, sorry. Not because in this case, it is not past perfect, it is past simple. I don't want to confuse you. And number 6, Beatriz, the original says, I can pay you.
He said he could pay me.
Very good. So let me adjust the answer key. So when I upload it, we have the 2 answers. Okay, that would be like the only adjustment to make, right? Talking about the shift for past perfect, and that would be it. Very good, guys. Any question? Okay. We still have 10 minutes left. We're gonna do the final activity. Let me get the link. Today is second, sorry for the silence. This is the link. What you're going to do is this. Basically, is to wrap up what we have been discussing on the second part of the section. The idea is to put the words in the corresponding, let's say, definition. Why not? There is one aspect that we can also include when we're talking about reported speech. That is the use of that. In some cases, we said, he said, blah, 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 blah. Or he said that, etc., etc. Probably you already noticed that in some sentences. So that is optional. And that is what you're going to do. The idea is to put the words in front of the corresponding definition. When you finish, you click on submit answers. Of course, everything is incorrect because I didn't do anything. And then with this, we would sum up what we have been discussing about reported speech. Guys, would you confirm, please, that the link is working?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. I'm gonna give you 7 minutes. I think that with the information as I was sending you, like it's a big summary of what we said about reported speech. We check it and then that will be the end of the session. So I don't want to interrupt you anymore. 7 minutes is starting now. Okay, guys, time's up. Let's check the activity. Let me refresh the page. Let's see who the winners are. Wow, guys. Vanessa, Diego, and Karen. Of course, we have Natalia Manola, the others one that were doing the activity. I hope that most of you do it. Let's see if there is any final change. Vanessa, Diego, and Karen. Very good. Well, guys, let's have a look at the answer key before we go. As I was telling you, basically the idea on this part was to summarize all the different information that we have shared about past perfect. Technically, we didn't really, or I didn't really explicitly set the use of that, but it is optional. In the other cases, all the grammatical transformations that they had, and also talking about the meaning of those, let's say, technical words, you know, talking about what reported speech is. Remember what the other person said in my words, while direct speech is what the person actually said. That would be the, let's say, different things compared to the other ones that we're talking about the transformation of the verbs. Guys, do you have any questions? Let's see the chat, if someone raised the hand. Very good. Well, guys, that would be it for tonight. As usual, thank you very much. Guys, don't forget the virtual campus. I invite you to start working on them as soon as possible. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Have a
See
good
you,
night.
teacher.
You too, guys. Good night. Take care, everybody.
Bye, miss. Good night.